Before beginning, clean all components of the System-One equipment prior to use. Pay particular attention to any O-rings, grooves, and matching surfaces. Any dirt in these areas should be wiped off. Clean the area of the pipe where the saddle will be positioned, removing all corrosion and scale so that the saddle rubber will seal properly. Also, clean the area around the pipe to ensure the chains will seat correctly and not loosen when any scale under them is crushed. Now you're ready to begin. First, select the correct size of saddle to match the pipe size and place it on the pipe. Install the valve on top of the saddle and secure it to the pipe using the chains. Push the chain bolts through the holes in the pivot pins, add the washers, and screw the nuts on one thread only by hand. Install the other ends of the chains in the chain pull-up hooks, making sure that 2 pins from each chain are installed in the 2 slots. Close the valve gate at this stage to stiffen the whole valve and prevent it from flexing while securing it to the pipe. Tighten the chains equally and alternately using the valve wrench. Do not completely tighten one chain before tightening the other. Do not use a longer wrench as this may put too much tension on the chains and could damage the valve. Although it is not shown here, once the chains are initially tightened, tap the chains lightly with a hammer to ensure that all links lie flat against the pipe. Then retighten the chains, making sure you use the chain steady wrench around the closest link to the eye bolt to prevent the chain from twisting. Make sure to not over-tighten. Operate the valve gate with the valve wrench and check it opens and closes fully and easily. If the gate does not operate easily, you may have over-tightened the chains, causing the valve to flex. Select the correct tap and hole saw combination. Where required, use only the supplied box wrench to attach the hole saw to the tap. A wrench with more leverage might break the tap. Screw the drill head feed cap down until the grub screws are exposed at the bottom of the drill shaft. Wipe the tapered hole in the shaft and the tap shank clean with a rag to ensure there is no dirt in it to prevent the tap from seating properly. Install the tap in the drill shaft's tapered hole, making sure the 2 flats on the tap fit within the recess in the shaft. Place a piece of wood over the end of the hole saw and give it a light rap with a hammer to perfectly seat the tap in the tapered hole. Now tighten the grub screws down onto the tap shank using the T-handled hex wrench provided to prevent the tap dropping out of the shaft once it has been unscrewed from the newly tapped hole. The grub screws should not be over-tightened. If tapping steel pipe, now is a good time to fill the saddle with cool mist. Next, install the magnet to collect swarf with a pair of needle nose pliers. Wind the feed cap back up until you see the first brass thread on the drill head and the hole saw is inside the drill head casting. Pull up on the shaft by its retaining pin and turn the shaft until its square section can enter the square recess inside the top of the feed cap. Then lock the shaft in place using the thumb screw. Mount the drill head on the valve and clamp it into position by means of the two swing bolts, which should be tightened with the valve wrench. Now a pressure test can be applied to the valve and drill head by introducing air through the drill head petcock and checking for leaks. While holding the drill shaft with one hand, loosen the thumb screw in the feed cap and carefully lower the shaft until the pin contacts the top of the feed cap. Screw the feed cap down until resistance is felt, indicating that the hole saw is touching the pipe, and then back off 1/4 turn. Install the nylon C split collar between the tapered pin and the feed cap, as well as the shaft collar, which is placed on top of the tapered pin. Install the air power drive and socket onto the drill shaft to operate it in a clockwise direction. Operate the power drive by simply pulling the trigger. Hold the power drive with one hand so that it will be pulling away from you under load. If the cutter jams, the power drive will be pulled from your grasp and will automatically stop as your fingers are released from the trigger. If operated towards you, it may swing around and hit you in the chest before you can release the trigger. Remember, the power drive simply powers the drill shaft around. To feed the drill, slowly turn the feed cap down with the other hand until the hole saw starts to bite. It is recommended that the drive and feed are both operated by one person, so he or she can feel the correct amount of feed pressure to apply. Continue to turn the feed cap down slowly without putting too much load on the hole saw. This will be noticed by a reduction in speed and change in pitch of the air motor. Use less feed cap pressure on small holes since overload conditions are more likely to occur. A sudden increase in speed, reduction of load, and higher pitch note of the air motor indicates that the hole saw is through the pipe. It is highly recommended to tap by hand and not under power. Remove the shaft collar and turn the feed cap down as far as possible. Then back off 1/4 turn. Next, remove the nylon C split collar. Place the ratchet wrench on the drive shaft hex and operate by hand in a clockwise direction. The tap will now pull itself into the hole. Maintain separation between the shaft pin and the feed cap during this process by turning down the feed cap as you go. If the tap starts to bind, reverse the ratchet for half a turn. This will release the swarf from the tap's teeth and make cutting easier. Tapping is complete when the tap rear stops come into contact with the pipe crown. The stops are there to prevent over-tapping of a tapered hole. Turn the ratchet wrench over and remove the tap from the pipe by operating the wrench in a counterclockwise direction, making sure the feed cap never makes contact with the shaft retaining pin. When the tap is fully removed from the pipe, you will feel and hear a noticeable bump or skip as the leading edge of the tap's thread disengages from the threaded hole. Wind the feed cap up to the retaining pin and then continue winding up until the first brass thread is exposed on the drill base. Lift up on the drive shaft by its retaining pin and turn the shaft until its square section can enter the square recess inside the top of the feed cap. Lock the shaft in place by the thumb screw. Then close the gate valve and vent the drill head to remove pressure. Unclamp the drill head and remove it from the valve. After the drill head is removed, wind the feed cap down until the grub screws are exposed at the bottom of the shaft. Remove the coupon and the retention magnet by using a small flathead screwdriver that will fit through the sides of the hole saw openings. Carefully pry out the coupon and magnet. Finally, loosen the grub screws to remove the tap, wind the feed cap back up, and store properly. From time to time, it may be necessary to have the ability to look inside the main through the tapped hole. The inspection cover is easily mounted onto the valve and clamped into position by the two swing bolts using the valve wrench. After the hole has been tapped, the System-One platform can insert a variety of plugs and tees from different manufacturers using the applicable adapter available from PLCS. We will first demonstrate how to install a common malleable plug using the magnetic plug fitting spindle. Select the correct size plug carrier to suit the plug to be installed and fit it to the fitting spindle using the T-handled hex wrench to tighten the large set screw. Once complete, simply place the plug square head into the plug carrier. The magnet embedded inside the spindle will hold the plug in place. With the plug end of the shaft on a flat surface, place the canopy over the shaft and push the canopy down. At this time, apply any pipe dope or PLCS thread seal no leak mastic on the plug threads. Place the canopy on the valve and attach with the swing bolts. Tighten the bolts alternately with the short valve wrench until snug. Withdraw the plug to the top of the canopy by pulling on the shaft. Open the control valve and lower the shaft down to the tapped hole. Using the valve wrench, turn the shaft counterclockwise until you feel the plug skip over the leading thread of the hole. Now turn the shaft clockwise and screw the plug in snug. Once the plug is in and snug, open the vent on top of the canopy to vent off any trapped gas. If there is a continuous stream of escaping gas, then that means the plug did not enter the hole correctly. In this case, simply unscrew the plug and try again. Undo the canopy bolts and remove the canopy along with the magnetic plug fitting spindle, lifting it by its ears. At this time, you can remove the control valve and tighten the plug to the recommended torque with a pipe wrench. The System-One can also remove a plug that is already in the main simply by reversing the plug installation steps. PLCS offers low-profile plugs that are designed with double leak sealing features, which are the MPT plug body and a rubber O-ring that provides a seal between the plug cap and the pipe. Shown here are the necessary components to install a PLCS low-profile plug. To begin installation, remove the canopy and rubber O-ring from the low-profile plug and set it aside. Select the correct size low-profile plug and carrier adapter. Then fit the low-profile plug adapter to the plug with the hex socket cap screw and tighten with the hex key. Next, fit the low-profile carrier adapter to the plug fitting spindle using the T-handle hex wrench to tighten the large set screw. Make sure the plug fitting spindle is lubricated with a little silicone paste. Place the plug end of the shaft on a flat surface, place the canopy over the shaft, and push the canopy down the shaft. Be sure to apply pipe dope or PLCS no leak thread seal mastic on the plug threads. Place the canopy on the valve and attach with the swing bolts. Lower the plug fitting spindle and install the plug using the same procedure as the malleable plug installation previously shown. Once the plug is screwed tight, remove the canopy and control valve, leaving the spindle and low-profile plug insertion adapter in place. Remove the spindle by removing the large set screw. Remove the low-profile plug adapter by removing the large socket head cap screw with the hex key. Next, place the contoured plug canopy and O-ring over the plug and pipe and tighten the large bolt using a wrench. Then, test for leaks using leak detector fluid. The System-One makes it easy to insert T's into the tapped hole gas-free. The method is generally the same when inserting T's from a variety of different manufacturers. Shown here is the typical installation assembly. The plug fitting spindle, T-carrier, and torque hood. All are held secure by a large set screw and placed inside the plug fitting canopy. To begin, fit the T-carrier onto the T, but do not fully tighten. Slide the T into the torque hood until the bottom flats on the T match up with the bottom slot on the torque hood. Next, insert the plug fitting spindle into the T-carrier and secure the entire T-carrier assembly with the long set screw. Place the T-end of the shaft on a flat surface and place the canopy over the shaft and push the canopy down the shaft. Make sure to apply pipe dope or thread seal onto the threads of the T. Secure the canopy with the swing bolts onto the control valve and tighten the bolts alternately with the short valve wrench until snug. Pull up on the shaft to make sure the T can clear the control valve. Open the control valve, push down on the shaft to engage the T into the tapped hole and turn counterclockwise until you feel the thread skip. Then turn clockwise and screw the T in snug. Once the T is snug, open the canopy vent to vent off any trapped gas. Remove the canopy by lifting it by its ears. Next, remove the large set screw and remove the spindle, plug carrier, and torque hood. The operation is now complete. The control valve can be removed and the T may be further tightened with a wrench. Briefly shown here is the identical T insertion procedure on a different manufacturer of T. The operation is essentially the same. The T carrier is threaded on top of the T. There is a slot on the T carrier which should be in line with the branch, and the torque hood is placed over the T. Then the spindle is attached and the entire assembly is secured using the large set screw. Once again, the T insertion assembly is placed inside the canopy, secured to the valve. The T is screwed into the main. Once snug, then all assemblies, including the control valve, are removed and the operation is complete. The attachment canopy simply fastens to the control valve, making it simple to use the tapped hole for vent or purge riser connections, or use multiple attachment canopies to hook up a bypass. Additionally, PLCS offers the mini purge ejector for rapid and safe purge operation for decommissioned mains. The unit uses the air supply from a compressor to create a powerful Venturi effect to evacuate any gas from a main. The mini purge ejector is capable of purging very long grid sections of mains with multiple combinations of pipe diameters in a very short period of time without creating turbulence or without the need of introducing an inert gas. For more information on its capabilities and procedure, please consult the mini purge ejector literature. As shown here, simply fasten the adapter attachment onto the control valve. Next, screw the threaded end of the mini purge until it's hand tight. When necessary, install the extension risers, connect the air supply, and turn on. When the gas readings reach 0%, the operation is complete.
Our newly developed gas-free bagging off equipment used on 4-inch through 12-inch cast mains at pounds pressure. A larger unit is currently under development for 16-inch and above. This system includes 4 insertion canopies, a range of easily interchangeable insertion tubes, 4 vent purge tubes, 4 flame traps, and 4 inflation control regulators. Bags are preloaded into the bag tube with the curvature of the bag indicated by the direction pointer. This provides confirmation that you are inserting the bag in the correct direction. The pointer must also be aligned with the bag tube window. Make sure both the inflation tube and the bag tube locking collars are tight. After drilling and tapping the appropriate size holes in the main, remove the drill head and attach the insertion canopy to the valve. Check that both directional indicators are in the same direction. Attach the vent purge point tubes at each stop-off point, allowing controlled block and bleed venting, but also purging of the repaired section. Insert the bag tube by simply opening the valve, or locking the collar, and drop the delivery tube down into the main. Note that the arrow, the window indicator arrow is pointing in the line of the bag off. Unlock the inflation tube, push down on the inflation tube, and lock the inflation tube with a corresponding size main indicator. Also note that the bag pointer is in the same direction as the window. Now the curvature of the bag and the window are all in line. Upon completion of the project, the bag can be inflated completely or partially to allow gasoline. A simple venting tool allows evacuation of the air from the gas bag.
The System-One equipment platform is one of the most modern and versatile machines for use in the gas distribution industry, capable of doing much more than just drilling and tapping. For more information about the ALH System-One tapping equipment and other products, please contact us using the information listed below.